The report says, in part, that former Secretary of Defense Donald Rumsfeld's authorization of aggressive interrogation techniques for use at Guantanamo Bay was a direct cause of detainee abuse there. His approval, it says, authorized, influenced and contributed to the use of abusive techniques, including military working dogs, forced nudity and stress positions in Afghanistan and Iraq. Now the United States Senator, who led the 18-month-long investigation into the Bush administration's torture policies, says he does not rule out further investigations and possibly indictments.
We looked at the role of the Department of Defense, but the role of the CIA has not yet been looked at. And let an outside commission reach the kind of conclusions which then may or may not lead to indictments or to civil action.
Levin, a senator from Michigan, also cited an interview that Cheney gave to the U.S. network ABC, in which the U.S. vice president defended the practice of subjecting detainees to simulated drowning or waterboarding.
In hindsight, do you think any of those tactics that were used against Khalid Sheikh Mohammed and others went too far?
I don't.
And on KSM, one of those tactics, of course, widely reported was waterboarding, and that seems to be a tactic we no longer use. Even that, you think, was appropriate?
I do.
Senator Levin says Cheney's statements in that interview are a clear admission that the vice president condones torture. There is a need, Levin says, for further investigations and the possibility of indictments so that those responsible for those torture policies can be held accountable. Anand Naidu, Al Jazeera, Washington.
Let's get more on possible legal action. We're joined here in Washington by Christopher Anders, the Senior Legislative Counsel for the American Civil Liberties Union. Even the New York Times, in an op-ed, or actually in an editorial today, is calling for a prosecutor to be appointed. Does it look likely that there will be some legal action?
Unless President Bush cuts it off with a pardon, which there's the other rumor that's out there, it does look like there's a good chance that there will be a criminal investigation at least. Now, that does not mean that there will necessarily be prosecutions. It's a two-step process. But there's enough evidence out there that there ought to be a investigation. The other thing is that there is an investigation that has been going on for almost a year now, which was into the destruction of the videotapes of Abu Zubaydah's interrogation, which included waterboarding. The Attorney General of the United States limited that investigation to who made the decision about destroying the videotapes. But what a lot of Democrats have been pushing for, including some key Democrats in Congress, has been to expand that investigation to include not just who destroyed the tapes, but what was on those tapes and were the crimes committed in the waterboarding of Abu Zubaydah. And that makes a very easy way to expand the investigation.
There is legal precedent, though, for waterboarding to be considered torture, war crimes and so on. By Dick Cheney's complete unabashed advocacy of waterboarding and his admission that he had a great deal to do with the policy, was that an admission of war crimes that could be prosecutable now?
Well, a lot has to go into that. So, but there's certainly reason, based on his comments, that he should be part of a criminal investigation, that he should be someone that they look at. And they should be looking at the president, and they should be looking at people like Secretary Rice, who ran meetings at the White House coordinating the interrogations. To the point where ABC News has talked about her role as leading sessions in which interrogations were essentially choreographed in the White House basement. And so all those things have to be investigated as a criminal matter, not just as a policy matter or as a policy dispute. And for the United States, with waterboarding, water torture, the United States in the past has tried people and convicted people. It's convicted Japanese soldiers in World War II. It's convicted people domestically who were committing waterboarding
given
crimes.
That, do you think Cheney would say what he did without being sure that he was going to get a pardon anyway? It was enormously incriminating, wasn't it?
Well, and you know, although his comments got a lot of attention, President Bush said something very similar. He said that he knew a month ago. He said he knew what was being approved by his White House advisors, and he approved of it. So you have the president and the vice president acknowledging their role at the top. And one of the things that was interesting about this report that was your lead-in today was that it was Senator Levin is the chairman of the Senate Armed Services Committee. Senator John McCain, the Republican nominee for president, Obama's opponent, was the ranking Republican. Senator McCain also signed off on this report, and the report said that what happened at Abu Ghraib and other places around the world was the result of decisions made at the top.
So we shall see. Christopher Anders, thank you very much.
Thank you.